Here we have another video about exponent rules, this time talking about converting between rational exponents and radical form. Rational exponents just means we have a fraction as the exponent, and radical form means we have that root symbol, which is also called a radical. Notice there are two examples with rational exponents and two examples in radical form, and our goal is to figure out how to switch between the two. First, it's helpful to know some definitions. What's in the orange spot is the base, in the green spot we have the root, and in the blue spot is the power. If your problem starts with a fraction as the exponent, you know your goal is to switch it to radical form with that root symbol. So the first thing would be to just draw that symbol out. Now there are three separate locations that our pieces are going to go into. So once you have these memorized, you can do these pretty quickly. Your base will always be the big term within the radical. In this case, that's our b. Your power term will be left as an exponent for that base. So in this case, we have b squared inside of the radical. And lastly, the bottom of that fraction will be the root, which goes on the outside of the radical. In this case, that's our 3. Now a key thing to notice here is that it is not a coefficient 3 multiplying on the outside. It is a root to say that we're in the third root. For instance, if a 2 was right there, that would be the square root. But the 2, the square root, is one of those rare cases where we leave it invisible. So if we look at the second example, t is our base, so that will be the large term under the radical. 5 is our power, so that will be the exponent to the t. And the 8 is our root, so that will be the small number outside the radical. Then this would be your whole answer. And now when we say converting between, that implies we can go back and forth. So these are examples in radical form, and they want us to turn it into a fractional exponent. So using that same logic, but in the opposite direction, the big term inside your radical is your base. When they give you this radical symbol, we know we need a fraction as an exponent, so start by drawing that fraction bar. 5, that's the exponent outside of the radical, will be the top of that fraction, the numerator. And the 7 that's in the little hook of the radical is the root, which goes on the bottom, the denominator of the fraction. And then this would be your final answer. Notice how these two examples look different, where one has the exponent outside of the parentheses and the other has the exponent inside of the radical. The good thing is we're going to do these the exact same way. This situation would be different if there was already an exponent inside of that radical, which is a rule covered in another video. So the b, which is the base of this exponent, is going to stay the base. Draw your fraction bar. The number up top will stay up top, while the little number in the hook of the radical becomes the bottom of our fraction. A trick that might help you remember this is that if you know that this location is the root, then the roots of a tree are on the bottom of the tree, so the root goes on the bottom of the fraction. And the number that's up top will stay up top, while your base will stay as the base. Hopefully that all made sense, and stick around for another video about how to simplify these types of problems.